Hey there, curious minds! Welcome to our channel. Today, we're going on an adventure to a really big country. It's a country with freezing cold places and people with warm hearts. It's the place that gave us the game Tetris and the famous writer Tolstoy. You guessed it, we're talking about Russia. We're going to learn 25 interesting facts about Russia. From its giant size to its cool history, Russia is super interesting. People think they know Russia, but it's full of surprises. It has so many different cultures, languages, and places to see. Get ready, because we're about to go on a quick trip to this awesome country and uncover some amazing facts along the way. Let's get started. First, let's talk about how big Russia is. I mean, it's really big. Russia is the biggest country in the whole world, if we're talking about land. It's a giant 17 million square kilometers. That's even bigger than the entire planet Pluto. Yeah, Pluto, the little planet, that's a whole lot of Russia to explore. Speaking of exploring, imagine getting on a train that goes across, well, almost a whole continent. That's the Trans-Siberian Railway, the longest train track in the world. This amazing train line stretches over 9,000 kilometers, connecting Moscow in the west to Vladivostok in the east. The trip takes more than a week, but hey, who cares when you're looking at amazing views from the Ural Mountains to Lake Baikal? Remember how we said Russia was big? Well, it's so big that it has 11 different time zones. That's right, 11. If you travel from one side of Russia to the other, you'll see the sun rise and set 11 different times. That's a lot of time changes. But imagine saying, I had breakfast in Moscow, lunch in Novosibirsk, and dinner in Vladivostok, all on the same day. How cool is that? Ready for another amazing fact? Russia has Lake Baikal, the deepest lake in the world. This old lake, called the Pearl of Siberia, is over 1,600 meters deep. And it's not just deep, it's also really big. It holds about 20% of all the fresh water in the world that's not frozen. That's more water than all the Great Lakes put together. Now you might be thinking, with all that land, Russia must have a ton of people. Well, not really. Russia has the 9th largest population in the world, with over 144 million people. But because it's so big, it doesn't feel crowded. If we magically moved everyone in the world to Russia, each person would have about 1,200 square meters of space. That's like having your own little piece of land. Let's talk about culture for a bit. St. Petersburg is like Russia's art capital. It has the Hermitage Museum, one of the biggest and oldest museums in the world. Catherine the Great started it in 1764. The Hermitage has a huge collection of over 3 million pieces of art. We're talking famous paintings by Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt, Picasso, and more. If you looked at each piece of art for just 1 minute, it would take you more than 6 years to see everything. Get ready to visit the coldest place in the world where people actually live. Oymyakon, Russia. This faraway village in Siberia is really cold. We're talking about temperatures that would make even penguins shiver. The coldest temperature ever recorded there was minus 71.2 degrees Celsius, or minus 96.2 degrees Fahrenheit. It's so cold that people have to keep their car engines running all day and night in the winter, or else they won't start again. Let's talk about language. The official language of Russia is, you guessed it, Russian. But it doesn't use the same alphabet as English. Russian uses the Cyrillic alphabet. It might look confusing at first, but it's not that hard to learn. And if you know a few basic Russian phrases, it will make your trip even better. Remember how we talked about Russia being big? Well, it also has a lot of natural resources, especially natural gas. Russia has more natural gas than any other country, and they sell it to many countries around the world. So, the next time you turn on the heat in the winter, you might have Russia to thank, or maybe not, depending on how you feel about global energy. Let's go to the heart of Russia, both in terms of location and politics. Moscow. That's where the Kremlin is. It's a historic fortress that represents Russia's power. But the Kremlin isn't just one building, it's a bunch of palaces, cathedrals, and government buildings, all inside those famous red brick walls. And yes, the Russian president lives there, so it's like Russia's White House, but with more shiny gold domes. Russia has a long history of amazing writers. Some of the most famous writers in history were Russian. We're talking about Leo Tolstoy, who wrote War and Peace, and Anna Karenina, and Fyodor Dostoevsky, who wrote Crime and Punishment, and The Brothers Karamazov. These authors wrote about love, loss, faith, and the meaning of life, and people still read their books today. Religion is a big part of Russian history and culture, and most people in Russia are Russian Orthodox Christians. The Russian Orthodox Church is the biggest Eastern Orthodox church in the world, which means it's independent and makes its own rules. Its churches with onion-shaped domes, beautiful religious art, and old traditions show how important faith is in Russia. Get ready for a trip to space. In 1961, Russia made history when Yuri Gagarin became the first person to go into space. His 108-minute flight in the Vostok 1 spacecraft was a big deal in the space race and showed that Russia was a leader in space exploration. In 1991, the whole world watched as the Soviet Union, a superpower that had been around for a long time, broke up into 15 different countries. The Russian Federation was born, and it got both the good and the bad from the Soviet Union. This was a time of huge change for Russia, and it shaped the country we know today. When we think of Russia, we often think of snow and freezing temperatures. And it's true that a lot of Russia has really cold winters, but Russia is so big that it actually has many different climates. From the freezing Arctic tundra in the north to the warmer Black Sea coast in the south, Russia's climate is as diverse as its people. Let's go back to culture and visit the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow, one of the most famous places in the world to see opera and ballet. The Bolshoi opened in 1776, and it's hosted some of the best ballet and opera performances ever, like Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake and Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet. Its beautiful interior, amazing sound, and talented performers make going to the Bolshoi an experience you'll never forget. We can't talk about Russian culture without mentioning those cute nesting dolls, Matryoshka dolls. These colorful wooden dolls, usually painted like Russian women in traditional clothes, are more than just souvenirs. They represent family, fertility, and the idea that everything is connected. Plus, they're just fun to open up and see how many dolls are inside. The Volga River flows through the middle of Russia. It's the longest river in Europe. This important river, often called Mother Volga, has been a big part of Russian history, culture, and trade. From old settlements to modern cities, the Volga has been a source of life, inspiration, and transportation for a very long time. Russia has a long history with the Olympics. It's hosted both the Summer and Winter Olympics. In 1980, Moscow hosted the Summer Olympics, and Sochi, a city on the Black Sea, hosted the Winter Olympics in 2014. These events showed off Russia's athletic talent, ability to organize big events, and national pride. The Russian flag, with its 3 stripes of white, blue, and red, is a famous symbol all over the world. People have different ideas about what the colors mean, but they often represent different things about Russia. White for peace and purity, blue for faith and loyalty, and red for courage and strength. Whatever they mean, these 3 colors together represent Russia and its people. Russia has given the world amazing classical music. From the beautiful melodies of Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky, who wrote Swan Lake and the Nutcracker, to the powerful piano concertos of Sergei Rachmaninoff, Russian composers have made a huge impact on the world of music. Their music makes people feel a lot of different emotions, from sadness to joy, and people all over the world still love to listen to it. Russia's economy depends a lot on its natural resources, especially oil and gas. Russia is one of the biggest sellers of oil and gas in the world. This has made Russia's economy strong, but it also means that Russia is affected by changes in oil and gas prices around the world. From old cities to amazing natural places, Russia has a lot of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. These sites are recognized as being important to the whole world. They include the historic center of St. Petersburg, the beautiful Lake Baikal, and the Kremlin and Red Square in Moscow. Each site shows us something special about Russia's history, culture, and natural beauty. From Yuri Gagarin's amazing flight to the International Space Station, Russia has always been a leader in space exploration. The Russian space program, Roscosmos, still works with other countries to explore space and learn more about the universe. The same spirit of discovery that sent Gagarin into space is still a big part of Russia's space program today. We can't talk about Russia without experiencing its lively folk traditions. From the moving melodies of Russian folk songs to the energetic steps of Cossack dances, these traditions show us the heart and soul of Russian culture. Passed down through many generations, these art forms celebrate the good and bad times in life and show us the spirit of the Russian people. And there you have it. 25 incredible facts about Russia that hopefully showed you how amazing and interesting this country is. From its huge size and rich history, to its lively culture and long-lasting traditions, Russia is a place where you can always discover something new. So the next time someone talks about Russia, you can impress them with your knowledge. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these facts about Russia, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome content. See you next time.